Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 3 for this news report today for Monday, August 12th, 2013. I'm ready to go here, and we're going to cover a lot of police state and different types of news. Americans giving up citizenship jump sixfold. So it says here, Americans renouncing U.S. citizenship surged sixfold in the second quarter from a year earlier as the government prepares to introduce tougher asset disclosure rules. So these expatriates giving up their nationality at U.S. embassies climbed to 1,131 the 3 months through June from 189 in the year earlier period, according to the Federal Register figures published today. That brought the first half total to 1,810 compared with 235 for the whole year of 2008. The U.S., the only nation in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development that taxes citizens wherever they reside, is searching for tax cheats in offshore centers, including Switzerland. The additional compliance costs for companies to ensure that Americans they hire are filling the correct U.S. tax returns and declaration forms for assets are at least $5,000 per person. For individuals, the costs are also rising, as getting a mortgage or acquiring life insurance is becoming almost impossible for American citizens living overseas. Then you have this, why are so many people choosing to leave the United States permanently? Asking if things have gotten that bad. One of the things I forgot to mention too was what Cryptagon website runner or owner wrote. I recently received an email from an American who is attempting to renounce his or her U.S. citizenship. It says in New Zealand. I don't want to get into any of the details, but it says the point is, do not assume that the U.S. will make it easier for you to renounce your citizenship. Some are doing it for tax reasons, some are doing it because they believe the future is brighter elsewhere, and others are doing it because they are very distressed about the direction that America is heading and they don't see any hope for a turnaround anytime soon. The writer of this Economic Collapse blog says, personally, I have several friends and contacts that regard themselves as preppers that have decided to that the United States is too far gone to recover. They have moved their families out of the country and they never plan to return. As the nation continues to head down the very troubled road that it is currently on, this trend is probably only going to accelerate even more. Renouncing the country of your birth is not an easy thing to do. From the moment that we come into this world, those of us born in this country are trained to think of ourselves as Americans. Lastly, a few reasons why people would want to leave. The U.S. economy has been steadily declining for many years, and the decline now seems to be accelerating. People are taxed into oblivion. The quality of jobs in our economy is rapidly declining, and the middle class is continually shrinking. Poverty is exploding. Escalating social decay is happening in our major cities. Our culture is rapidly going down the toilet as our healthcare system becomes a complete mess and a giant money-making scam. And of course, politicians are tremendously corrupt, but they keep getting sent back to D.C. over and over again. So, declassified Joint Chiefs of Staff, approved false flag attack on America. Most of you have already heard this. The Department of Defense document Declassified 97 shows that Joint Chiefs of Staff of the U.S. Armed Forces have drafted and approved a plan to attack and kill Americans and blame it on Cuba. So, it's actually available in a PDF. It was rejected by JFK after it was presented by the individual we just talked about, Chief of Staff to Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara on March 13, 1962, was intended to provide justifications for the U.S. military intervention in Cuba. So when you go down there, you can actually see some of the things. We could blow up a U.S. ship in Guantanamo Bay and blame Cuba. A Remember the Maine incident could be arranged in several forms. Commence large-scale United States military operations. So it included proposals to blow up the ships, whatever, and blame Cuba, develop a communist Cuba terror campaign in the Miami area, in other Florida cities, and even in Washington. Oliver Stoneson says 9/11 was an inside job. He says Hezbollah aren't terrorists and Israel is a crusader state. So he also says Ahmadinejad was misunderstood. But he could just say that Israel was responsible for 9/11, but agencies buying hotel rooms for a surge of Mexican illegal immigrants as others are released. A sudden influx of illegal immigrants from Mexico requesting asylum is overwhelming immigration agents in San Diego, forcing agencies to rent hotel rooms for some undocumented families and release others to cities around the U.S. They've been paying for hotel rooms, ICE has, for dozens of recently arrived families to relieve overcrowding inside the San Cedro and Otay Mesa, California processing centers. The surge has raised suspicions about what's driving the influx amid claims the illegal immigrants have learned that they can attempt to get asylum by using a few keywords, namely by claiming they have credible fear of drug cartels. A U.S. attorney says this clearly has to be orchestrated by somebody, saying it's beyond belief that dozens or hundreds of thousands of these people would simultaneously decide that they would go to the U.S. and make the same exact claim. Remember this about Senator Feinstein referring to the U.S., Canada, and Mexico as the homeland at a NSA Senate briefing on, well, this is a few Wednesdays ago, presenting a map that united the three nations as one. There you go. I remember covering an article, it was a couple of years ago, maybe even 3, about the IRS buying, shotguns, and I don't know why people are shocked by this, but IRS won't explain why agents need AR-15s for standoff capability. So the entire political and financial or monetary system is based off the IRS. That's why the IRS, it drives people to kill themselves, to go mad, to do very take desperate measures. These people ruin people's lives. So, they are at the tip of the spear of enforcing this type of authoritative system on us. So, of course, they're going to be armed to the teeth. They've been buying up a vast collection of AR-15 rifles for agents and training them in proper use of those weapons. Getting into why Americans would want to leave this country. Mother of Messiah ordered to change baby's name after Christian judge rules it's a conflict with her beliefs. Baby named Messiah must be renamed according to the judge in Tennessee because Messiah is earned title in the Judeo-Christian tradition. Wow. So it says here the decision was handed down by a child support magistrate, Luann Bellew, who renamed the 7-month-old child. They renamed her kid Martin Deshawn McAuliffe. And then she actually had the audacity to say it could put him at odds with a lot of people, and at this point he has had no choice in what his name is. Well, nobody has any choice of what their name is, just like they don't have really much of a choice in what their gender is. But it's ridiculous because, the parents should be able to name their kids whatever they want to. But it's like we just talked about with the MSNBC host saying that basically children don't belong to parents, they belong to society. And so they have no rights or anything over them. And that basically will lead you to things like this. No matter how ridiculous it is, if you believe in what America represents, then you should be able to name your child whatever you want. And no matter how neurotic people are, right? Custody denied to Nazi naming dad. So he lost his kids over the son's name. And it was all brought up because of some snitch, the bakery at Walmart or something like that, who made a cake after her son named Adolf, so birthday cake. But these same people will wave American flags, light made in China fireworks, and sleep on their made in China bed, or and say how free we are and prosperous. It's just a complete joke, with the police state running around. Children taken from medical marijuana prescribed parents in California. Family in Southern California is suing the city of Coronado after the children were taken away for nearly a year because the father admitted to illegally smoking medical marijuana. So he uses it for debilitating migraines he suffered after being exposed to chemicals during the Gulf War. Lawsuit alleges that police officers were called to investigate the residents after being told the family was running an illegal daycare center on the same site where marijuana was being regularly smoked. Following the visit, police wrote that they found pot but identified no other hazards. It says 3 days later, however, agents with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services returned to the residence and seized the couple's 2 kids, ages 4 and 2. And we just covered an article or a story about that I believe it was a son, but basically it was almost like an infant, a toddler, that had died. It basically died in state custody after they took their kids away because the parents smoked pot, I guess. And it was moved to basically a foster mom because the place that they were in before was so bad. It looked like the kid was being not even being fed. And then when they moved it to a different place, to someone's house, it basically died. Missouri State Fair's Obama clown stirs up brouhaha. Announcer asked if crowd wanted to see the crowd or the clown trampled. So it goes on here and says Missouri State Fair is facing backlash over the rodeo clown modeled after President Obama. So it says one fair visitor, per the Raw story, again, a leftist site, I felt like I was at a Klan rally. So it says here the statement calling a performance inappropriate and disrespectful does not reflect the Missouri State Fair. What I find is interesting, though, is like you can't. This is the second time I saw a mask like this of Obama. It's just funny because I remember there was Reagan mask, there's Nixon mask. There's all kinds of masks with these white presidents that you could wear them and stuff like that. And I'm sure there was black people that wore them, but no one says a damn thing about it. Now all of a sudden you get white people. Now, like I said, the demographics are going to change. Whites are going to fall from about 70% to about 30% within the next 30 years. So they just happen to make up the majority. So if they don't like Obama and they start wearing one of these goofy character masks, then all of a sudden they are racist. That's what I love about the mulatto president Obama, is that you cannot criticize him if you're a white person, otherwise you're a racist. And people need to just get over this crap already, dude, and quit being so damn politically correct. Democrat Claire McCaskill said it suggests to young people it's okay to disrespect, taunt, and joke about harming the president of our great nation. So she spews that shit out, too. See how great it is, right? Bernie Kosar, reprimanded by Browns for on-air comments, but gets to keep the job. So you think, okay, what did he say? What did he say? What was the big controversy? So after Rams coach Jeff Fisher complained about Kosar ripping his players of Rams quarterback Kellen Clemens, Kosar said, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I have to watch him the whole fourth quarter." Banner felt the need to keep the peace. They say that while Kosar was over the top, the mini controversy sure won't lead to more honest commentary, so people be afraid to say. Yeah, see, America, land of the politically correct. NFL, no free speech league. China instructs popular bloggers to promote virtues. Chinese internet celebrities have been told to promote virtues by leading official state media, says here, after a singer sparked a free speech debate by venting about bombing government offices. Think about the great nation, that comment, the great McCaskill leading this great nation, honorable president. Well, the honorable president has like the fewest support of his whole 2-year term so far. He has record low support, and the great nation that people are leaving and giving up citizenship to. So obviously someone's not living in reality. Trooper who conducted cavity search has been reinstated. The Texas Department of Public Safety reinstated a state trooper on Friday that it fired for conducting a roadside cavity search during the traffic stop for speeding. So they just let it go, and people with memory lapse won't remember. They say that the inexperienced trooper was directed by a more senior trooper, so they just let him take the fall, right? They protect each other and their crimes. Disabled Army veteran harassed by police because of service dog. You see this? These are veterans. Stories of veterans are being harassed in the land of the free. So the police officer harassed and kicked him off the North Wildwood, New Jersey boardwalk because of his service dog. So apparently the officer was mocking him as well, asking him if all veterans get service dogs. Now remember the paraplegic, the person in the wheelchair, and I don't know what airlines made the person. They lay down a piece of cardboard so that they can slide themselves down into the airplane and off the airplane. First, he said he was humiliated as nobody even said anything or helped him. SWAT team raid a sustainable organic co-op for drugs and find none, so they forced him to mow their lawn. They had drones and helicopters for supposedly growing marijuana, so they searched the property. No marijuana was found, but the cops forced him to bring their property up to code by forcing them to mow their grass and uproot their blackberries while they stood and watched. LAPD detains photographer for interfering with police investigation from 90 feet away. So they're talking about words like interference and obstruction of justice. The latest definition of interference stretches the limits to nearly 100 feet. A man says he was beaten and left for dead by police officers in Illinois. By 2 off-duty police officers. Remember the police officers in Detroit? They were actually off-duty, and they were robbing people, and they were caught on video. This is interesting. They were actually on a float boat trip. They said the husband, I guess, forgot to pack the lunch. He said we had no food, and that's what the stupid argument was that they were arguing about. She said that as they were arguing, a group of 3 men stopped to intervene. 2 of them were off-duty Oklahoma City police officers. They acted like he was about to hit me, and he wasn't. I mean, we were arguing in that. How about that? He said one of the men put him in a chokehold while another kicked him. These are the same assholes that watch UFC. They jumped on me, began sitting on me, punching me directly in the face, while another one in their party was saying, "Hold him under, just hold him under," as they repeatedly did this. The 3 men told Rangers Lewis fouled them and taunted them. They said that you were threatening them and calling out racial slurs. Was any of that happening? Asked a reporter. I was pretty mad. I'm not going to say that I didn't. I don't know what verbal threats would justify what these 3 men had done to me. They had basically left me for dead. So they had told Rangers, but the men were not arrested, and Oklahoma City Police Department said the two officers had been put on administrative leave.